This is a 12-year-old patient exhibiting a Class 2 fracture of tooth number 11, an upper right central incisor. The fracture is on the mesial and has slight dentin involvement. Because of the extent of the fracture, we will be using a crown former to place the Nuva fill. The first step in this restoration is to etch the tooth with a 50% buffered phosphoric acid solution. It is applied with a cotton pledget and allowed to remain on the tooth for 2 to 3 minutes. This solution etches the tooth, thereby making it rough and preparing the tooth for the Nuva fill. This creates a mechanical lock for the substance. Care should be taken not to rub the tooth when applying the acid or washing it off, as this will smooth out any roughness created by the acid. Next, the tooth is washed with water, again being careful not to rub the tooth in any way. Next, the tooth is air dried to prevent any moisture from contaminating the next step of our preparation. You should be able to notice the area of the fracture has lost its gloss, indicating that the tooth has been etched properly and is now ready for the next step. The etched area should extend approximately 2 millimeters beyond the fracture. The next step is to apply the Nuva sealant to the etched area only. This is polymerized for 30 seconds on the buccal and 30 seconds on the lingual. Care being taken not to touch the light to the tooth, but at the same time keeping the light approximately 2 millimeters away from the tooth. Next, the lingual is polymerized in the same manner as the buccal. The next step is to apply the Nuva fill. This is the tooth-colored filling material that makes up the bulk of our restoration. As mentioned, we will be using a crown former in this particular restoration. The crown former is filled with the Nuva fill material so that the fill material will extend approximately 2 millimeters beyond the fracture of the tooth. This crown former has previously been trimmed to fit this patient's fracture. We try to avoid great excesses of the fill material, as it will only constitute extra work in trimming it down later. We have unlimited working time with this material, as it will only polymerize when hit with the ultraviolet light. So any trimming that you deem necessary can be done now. However, the major portion of the trimming will be done later after the material is polymerized. We now polymerize a tooth for 60 seconds, again on the buccal and the lingual. When the fill material is used in quantities greater than 2 millimeters to replace a fracture, we often hold the light on for 30 seconds longer than we usually would. Now the lingual is polymerized for approximately the same period of time. Again, care being taken not to touch the light to the tooth. Next, the crown former is removed. As you can see, it flicks off quite easily. And it has restored the tooth quite nicely. The advantages of the crown former are that it can be used to restore the tooth in one step, such as we have done here, instead of in increments, as you have seen in previous tapes. The disadvantages are that it requires somewhat more trimming and finishing after it has been polymerized. Trimming is done with a medium or fine cuttlefish disc or garnet disc. Once trimming is completed, the tooth can be blown dry and cleaned off. Green stones, diamonds, and white stones can also be used to trim the tooth. They're often more convenient on the lingual aspect of our incisors. Once the tooth is trimmed satisfactorily, the sealant is reapplied to restore the gloss and natural smoothness of the tooth. Often a celluloid strip can be employed interproximally to avoid applying sealant to the adjacent tooth, which has not been etched. Again, sealant is applied only to the area that has received the Nuva fill. A thin coat is preferable, as a thick coat will often show as a bulge in the tooth. Again, 30-second application of the ultraviolet light will polymerize the Nuva sealant. Next, the celluloid is removed along with the cotton roll. Check to see that the sealant has polymerized completely, for if it has not, it will exhibit a tacky appearance on the tooth. Run floss interproximally to check that you have not bridged your fractured tooth with the adjacent tooth. Here you can see that the lingual is also restored as nicely as the buccal.